Welcome back. Just got this 2015 Town & Country. This is going to be an insurance job. He actually got paid directly, so I'm not really working with the insurance company, but he is in a rental, so I may get a call pretty soon from them to kind of confirm the status. I got rear-ended right in here. You can see how it pulled the bumper down. It actually broke the back of the tail light where the tail light slides into this slot. So I got this tail light. The other side's still okay. And looks like it bent the rebar and rolled it down, so I bought a rebar just because it's right there on the bumper there, and it's hanging down a couple inches, so it just about had to have rolled the rebar down. Got the rebar, the absorber, the bumper cover, the step pad, and we've got the tail light I think I mentioned, and we got a small dent right here. See if I can get you a shot. Not much there, but just enough to have to work it. Gonna try to get the bulk of it out. I may even be able to work that out with PDR tools, but he did notice this since he was looking at the tailgate, and that's just kind of a botched PDR repair right there where the paint's cracked. So I told him that I would fix that while I did this, so even if I was able to push this out, he's gonna wonder why I didn't fix that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and, if I can push this out, I may need a little primer on it, but definitely have to body work that, get that straight, and then prime both these spots. What I'm going to do with this one is, just to keep from having to paint this and take this off, I'm just going to take the bottom Town & Country trim off and tape it back behind here. So this chrome molding here and the light assembly and the tag grommets will come off, as well as the Flex Fuel emblem there, and I'll just have to lose that Howard Wilson dealership sticker. I'll take that off with the stripe wheel. Didn't get anything in here, luckily. This is all good. So what I'll do is I'll pull the bumper cover off, get it out of my way, and first thing I'll do is do the body work here so that the primer can sit there and cure as long as possible and harden up while I'm doing all the rest of the repair work. And I'll paint that and the bumper cover separately. It'll be off the car, and then we'll just reassemble at the end. I will test fit the bumper cover first, but I'll paint it with it off the car. I'm gonna have to wash this thing. It's pretty dirty, but I'm gonna wait till I get the bumper cover off so I can wash underneath behind there after I get the rebar and everything out of the way. I may have to use that rebar to twist the brackets or whatever it mounts to. I may just have to leave it on there and do that. And I just purchased a Hustler stick right here that I'm going to use probably to roll that bumper back up before I take it off, and I'll just install the new one at that point. But I'm gonna get the bumper cover off and get this all washed up and clean, and I'll show you what we're working with back there. All right, taillights came out first. 2 bolts, one here, one there. Pull straight out, one connector. Rebar is turned down. I had to buy the, well, I didn't have to, but I did. I bought the rebar and absorber assembly together. It cost about the same as just buying a rebar or an absorber individually. It's aftermarket, but it was NSF certified, and would be plenty fine for rear of the car. So I'll probably go ahead and just install it, since I need the absorber anyway. It's gotten crushed. You can see several places. So I'm going to pop this off and try to use that Hustler stick to just rotate this up and get it level again. And then I'll unbolt it once I've got everything straight. That way it'll straighten up the mounts for me. Other than that, I think I'm going to return this piece that I bought. I bought that runs behind it and has 4 little legs that come down for clips to go underneath. Don't really need that, but bought it just in case it broke the legs underneath, since I knew it went under the car, whatever hit it. So I'm gonna wash all this out and wash the gate and get this nice and clean. Go ahead and I may even take all the trim off of it first. That way I can wash behind there at the same time and just maybe tape up the holes so I don't get anything in the body, but it would just drain out of the gate anyway. But looks like I can return that backing plate there, that support but I'm gonna have to at least keep the rebar. I think you could probably save this if you had to, but since this is an insurance job, I'm gonna go ahead and replace it. I'll get it cleaned up and be back for the body work. All right, it turns out that chrome strip was actually made onto the entire trim panel that goes across the top. So I ended up having to take out maybe 4 or 5 10mm bolts just at random places through here, and the rest were just clips. So I've got this area taped up so that I can wash this off and not get too much water in the car. It can go in these holes here. There's no real direct path straight in the car since there's a structure back here. So I can wash this real well. I'm still gonna tape it somewhere along in here and just come up around this. There's no reason to go up and paint all of this area. I'm just gonna tape it, you know, along here where the trim will be. Cover it up, put an edge there. It's just gonna save some time. No reason to sand this and paint it. It's gonna get covered up. I've got this area sanded out. It was straight enough. It just needed the cracked paint sanded off. So I'm gonna get some filler there. And I've worked on this a little bit. Since I've got the interior trim off, now I was able to get that right there worked out enough to where I can fill it. Just put a skim coat here and we'll be good to go on that. I need to grind this down and then I'll feather it out with 80 around the grinder marks and get some filler on this and let it sit tonight. And tomorrow I'll block it out and get some epoxy and some high build primer on that. But while that's setting up, I'm going to try to start twisting this bumper, at least while that body filler is hardening up on me. This is going to have to be rotated up. Then I'll replace the rebar. I went ahead and took the absorber off since I'm going to have to push against that bar itself. Get it out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and get this ground off and get set up for some filler. This is just to get the paint off real quickly over the area I'm going to fill, then I'll get the DA out and go around it. I gotta turn my air pressure back down. Alright, gonna get some filler ready to go. Be back with that. Gonna give it a quick wipe down with some Final Clean. This will actually dry really quick. By the time I get the filler out, it'll be completely flashed off there. I'm about out of filler. I'm down to the end of the tube. It's getting a little bit stiff now, so I think I got enough on there. Got it smooth enough. We should be able to get by with this one. I may have to buy some more for the next job. Alright, we've got the Bondo blocked out. Now I'm going to go around. It's in 180. I'm going to go around this whole area. Since I'm going to prime, I've got block scratches down into here and also over here, so I might as well just prime this whole area. I'm going to feather out with 400 grit out there, all the way up into here, and I'll end up taping it. I'll tape it along this edge here to stop my primer. That way it'll give me a nice edge to break it off there, sand it and feather it in. I'm going to go ahead and just sand that out, and I'll get ready to put some epoxy on this bare metal. I'll be right back with that. Alright, while my epoxy is getting ready for its induction time to get this done, I'm going to go ahead and start working on twisting this. I've got this stick. See if I can get you a shot of this under here. Got it hooked underneath the bumper bracket. Start along this piece here. There's nowhere to hook it into the rebar, so I'm just going to twist the bracket up, which needs to be twisted anyway, so that'll take care of the bracket itself. I could probably do this with the rebar off, but I'm going to try with it on there first. And just give it a good twist on each end. And see what I can get out of it. I've just got the chain thrown around it to hold it into this holder since I have it upside down. I'm about to get another bite on it. Alright, we're almost there. The gap between the body and the bumper bracket right there is just about even now, but I'm going to go up a little bit further. Alright, let's look at that. It's this gap right here that I'm trying to even out. I've got it pretty straight now. I was touching down here. I'm going to do the other side. And I'm sure some of that twist in there is holding it down a little bit. So I'm going to go do the other side and come back and check this. I'm going to have to go back and forth. I'll come right back when I finish getting it. Alright, I've stopped on the bumper for now. I think I've got the brackets where they'll work. Really ought to be replaced, but I think I can use them. I'm going to go ahead and spray this epoxy. And while this is sitting here for its 1 hour flash time, before the high build primer, I'll go back to the rebar. Alright, that's all it needs. I'll sit there for at least 45 minutes to an hour. I'll finish working on the bumper and come back and put the primer on this. Alright, we're ready to go here. I'm going to seal, just going to go ahead and seal. I got a cut through here. Wasn't paying attention right there on that corner there with the sander and cut through it. It's not really a big deal. Since I've got to seal this area white anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and seal the whole back of the gate. If I had not done that, I would have had to put 222S on everything else and then just let the sealer land in that. But right now, I'll just go ahead and do the whole gate. I'm going to seal the bumper also, just to go ahead and turn it white. And I need flex additive in this. And I could just mix up one batch with flex additive and spray it on the gate also, but that's just a waste of the material and that stuff's really expensive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up enough to do both. I'll spray this, and then I'll see how much I've got left in the gun, measure, or pour it back in the cup and see how many ounces I've got left, and I'll add enough flex additive to what's left to then spray the bumper. That way I can do them at the same time and not have to do either two mixes or waste flex additive on the gate. And I'll probably do the same thing with the clear. I may even clear this thing first and then spray the gate after I move the bumper out of here. We'll see how that goes. I'll decide later, but I'm gonna do the same thing, most likely the same thing with the clear. I'm gonna go get the sealer mixed up and I'll be back to spray that. Alright, flex additive is in. Go ahead and do the bumper and let that sit for probably 30 minutes. Alright, base coat will be next. Alright, the bumper's up in the front. Like I said, I would move it up there by the van. I've got a little bit left with flex additive in it and the bumper. I'm not going to waste it. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on the gate with a little bit more of a mix. I added probably, I think I probably had 3 or 4 ounces left. Added 3 or 4 more ounces to it and see how far this will go, then I'll mix up a second coat. Be back in just a second. Alright, here it is put together. Didn't take very long to reassemble, maybe 45 minutes or so. Bumper fit up really nicely. Probably wouldn't have gotten a better fit with an OEM bumper. Went right on. Now one of the retainers on this side had actually got knocked off and I didn't notice it until I went to put the bumper on. There's one right in here and one right here. So I took this one that was mounted up here in the front and put it in the middle to hold this section in flush. And this side over here just sits in It has 3 clips, so that's holding that in. It's not going to come out. Kind of saved me there. Pretty nice gap there versus here. Might be a millimeter wider over here, but I've got it flush to the corners of the tail lights so that it's the same on both sides. I'm going to leave it right there. I was able to snap that step pad in on top of the bumper. It didn't look like it was going to fit, so I went ahead and put the bumper on since it can slide in some slots in the back and then snap down. Went ahead and decided to put that on afterwards, and it actually fit in there. This part of the chrome on the original piece, this chrome is flush with the black part of the step pad. For some reason this one is slightly narrower, but the chrome's about the same width. A little overhang there, about 1/8 of an inch extra of chrome there, but it did sit down in the recess. It didn't look like it was going to fit. I thought I was going to have to trim the end of the chrome off flush with the black part, but it did go in there. Got to give it a wash, and this thing will be ready to go. See you guys next time.